of all the ways that we're still open for business, even though we're sometimes doing it from home. So actually think about Erin. Erin, you're usually working with children in the library, and then you're suddenly at home. So how did you do that?
It was hard. Probably somewhere around 50% of our day is hanging out with the public and helping the public in person. So it was a really hard transition. So the easiest thing for us was story times. So within a week of closing, so the week after we closed, we launched our very first story time virtually through Facebook Live. Probably the hardest part for us was deciding where we wanted to do it. And we just decided, we already have Facebook up and running with a lot of followers, and so this is where our patrons are already. So that's what we decided to do. Our youth services coordinator, Rick Samuelson, was our first person to go live. He incidentally does not use Facebook at all. Right. And actually several of our presenters aren't big Facebook users either, so we all had a little bit of a learning curve. But he went first and gave us a lot of feedback and ideas of how to get started. I started our second week into story times. One of the hardest things about presenting a story time virtually is that you're not running off the fuel of small children in front of you. Because sometimes you'll be reading a book and you're like, no one likes this book at all. But I'm reading a book online and I have no idea. I'm super into it. I have a background as a dancer, and so I was like staging my room. I'm standing here, like masking tape on the floor, just to make sure I was in frame for everything that I wanted to do, because it's story time. We're not standing still. We're not sitting in a seat. We're up, we're down, we're back, we're forward. So just making sure that I was going to have myself where I needed to be. And so that first week I practiced for an hour before I went live. And it went great, and it was incredibly well received. And, we're having between probably 30 and 50 participants in each story time that we do real time. And we always double our numbers because we assume that the grown-up who has a Facebook page also has a child with them. Not always, but most of the time. And so we double our numbers. So we've been seeing somewhere about between 60 and 100 people per story time.
So Erin, you said some of them you've been able to keep up because you've been reading stories from independent booksellers that have given you the permission to keep them up. And so what are your numbers like on some of those?
So there's one that I have had up now for, I think, 3 weeks, and I think we're right around 1,700 people. But, we know that kids love repetition. So what I'm imagining is, there are probably some of my kids that know me that are watching it every day because it's something standard and normal. So I have a almost 3-year-old in my house. So I understand how much they need normal and how much they need their patterns. And so I'm sure that some of my kids were watching over and over. And then also I think it's spread and spread and spread. So one of my cutest stories is my elementary librarian from growing up watched it, told me I was doing a good job. I was like, thank you.
Have you heard from any of the little ones? Have you heard from the parents telling them about how they're feeling watching you?
Yeah. So some of my regulars and I have become friends on Facebook. One of the songs that we do is 5 Little Monkeys, and I do it with a paper towel roll with monkeys shoved into it. We're very high tech at the library. And so one of the things we talked about in our first or second week was how you could make this at home. And so pretty much a week after that, I got a picture of 2 of my kids with their monkey tree. And she was like, we're ready for story time. It's nice to see the kids interacting with us when we can't see the kids interacting with us.
Yeah.
So.
And we think about serving our customers. We don't always remember the almost 2-year-olds that are out there. And like you said, they also are dealing with stress, and they also need that sense of normalcy. I think you also wanted to tell us that that's not the only way that you all have jumped in to help our patrons, our residents.
We, a couple of weeks ago, launched the One Henrico Reading Challenge. So normally we do summer reading. It starts in June. It's a big to-do, huge programs. Lots of people coming into the libraries and reading and telling us great things and coming to huge programs. And that's not an option right now. So we decided to go ahead and move forward and start the challenge now because we got feedback from people that they just wanted something to do. They wanted something focused to do. So we're really excited about One Henrico, and we've had lots of great participation, and we're doing challenges every week that mirror some of our programming and also that push people out into our community virtually.
Y'all, these are just 2 stories in so many that I know you all have been involved in. So please write in the comments, tell us what you've been doing, because like our county manager has shared, he and I and all of us have just seen so many folks jumping in, being flexible, being creative in the moment and doing things in new ways.